tall, so not the biggest barbarian, but I'm jacked.
To hair and braids. What if we put it in 2 braids and then we wrapped it around and then we gave on to flowers sticking together and then what if we did this? Oh, purple!
May I have another drink, please?
Yes, you may. And he goes over.
Put your hands up, it's better!
No. Syria, roll me a constitution, saving throw. Yes, you. I'm gonna fight you.
He's sort of you guys know who I am, right?
Yeah. Goggles.
You're Dr. Mole.
Robot. Dr. Robot.
What do you do?
Take a moment to try to stop laughing.
Okay, so I'm gonna do the same thing with the other one.
Why not? It worked again.
Hating on Batman.
And I don't hate Batman, for the record. I hate the fandom of Batman.
Oh, cool. Okay,
That's the
that's
issue.
way more people.
It is. It's a
Dang.
lot of, like, actual human beings.
Were you gonna
You need to rub this crap off your neck and not smell like me, or I will fail. Just start rubbing his neck and just getting like.
I am fairly certain it doesn't matter what I smell like at this point.
To a feline, you have wolf's piss on you.
I'm just gonna point at my feline eyes.
I have some time.
You've just tuned in. We had the brilliant idea while we were fishing at the Dark Moon Festival.
Oh, jeez.
To do a dungeon with fishing poles equipped. Because why not? And so we drank all of the alcohol in our bags, and we equipped our fishing poles and our aquatic pets, and we went to do a dungeon.
I feel like I need to put it up.
So this was the end of our epic tale. What holds for next week as the heroes set sail? We may find more family, we may find where things start. All we know is to follow our heart. So our heroes set forth to pillage and to plunder in the magical continent of wonder. We have one more question. I hope to not blunder. Question for you, dear friends. Do you wonder? Thank you, guys. Indigo Connect.
Sit back, dear friends, and hear the tale, when fairies flew and ships did sail. You know the stories often told, of Peter Pan, both brave and bold, of Tinker Bell, clever and smart, of evil men born black of heart, adventure and treasure buried in sand, time held its breath in Neverland. But darkness fell on the island fair, a sickness rose of no compare. Each creature and plant fell one by one, no respite found for anyone. So the island died, its people scattered, those left behind broken and battered. Years went by, no end in sight. Then through the darkness came new light. The island breathes and life returns. Within our heroes a fire burns. The drive to find those who are lost, to build a home at any cost. Join pixies, skeletons, a mermaid or two, healers, never boys and lost boys too. They're here each week, new stories told, so pull up a chair and never grow old.
And we're there. Hi, everybody. How's it going? It is it is Friday night. It is time. sorry. Welcome to Indigo Chameleon, and it's time for a little Dungeons and Dragons.
Did we start?
We just started.
Okay.
We're there.
Okay, cool.
Now. So we have a few announcements before we get started. As always, we encourage you, we invite you, we implore you to come and hang out with us on the Discord. We've got an inspiration page. We've got a cool updated play-by-post that we do that I'm going to get back on because life is crazy. But yes, come and play and hang out with us as we like talk about D&D, and you can ask questions and things of that sort. We also have a shop as well where you can find cool merch like mugs and T-shirts, like the one that Ala's wearing, and the one that those two were tweeting out of like a morning talk show that we all didn't know we wanted until right this second. So please, thank you for supporting us and getting the coolest Karma merch ever. We also have an online digital store where all of the online digital goods are half off for the month of December. Woo! All the cool stuff like Sparky and all sorts of cool stuff like that, including the brand new item on there that nobody knows what it does. A magic mushroom is up for grabs on the...
Say no more.
Thank you, Crab Goddess. So, Crab be with you, and also with you. Yeah.
And you also have... What are you rolling?
We have...
Clumsiness.
It is super successful.
Nat Turtle.
Upcoming schedule for this week. Nothing going on tomorrow night. However, there has the potential to be a pop-up stream Sunday. We're not sure. We're trying to get our ducks in a row as a bunch of people from out of... You look up confused, but a bunch of people are coming in from out of town.
Confused for a minute.
Gosh, she's pretty. Are coming in from out of town. So there's potential for that being on Sunday. Monday night, there's not anything going on. But Tuesday night, we go for the season finale of Wonder. The heroes are preparing to fight the Arch-Lich Evil Queen, and it's going to be a little intense. Each of them has prepared an epilogue for if they survive the fight, and an epilogue for if they do not. And I'm granting them a little bit of time before the stream to say their goodbyes and spend some time in character. So it's what I would want if I was a hero.
Really?
We're
over here being emotionally devastated
also,
right now.
There's going to be a giveaway. All the dice that are thrown on the ground tonight will be collected and given away to audience members. So.
My hand and it slipped out.
This is going to be great.
You're also very pretty.
That is Tuesday night. On Thursday, we go to the Lost Isle, where our group of time-traveling heroes find their way. Icky's like, guys, are you okay?
We are not okay. He talks about Tuesday, and we are definitely not okay.
Everything is awesome.
Half of my work-in times the past week have been before 6 a.m., so I'm fine.
Same.
That color shirt really brings out the bloodshot in your eyes, I guess.
What?
Thursday is the Lost Isle. Time-traveling Dungeons and Dragon adventures. We encourage you to come and hang out with us. The group is going... the island is traveling into the future, so I get to play with robots and laser guns and floating cars and all sorts of fun stuff. So tune in for that on Thursday, and then Friday we go back to Neverland. And then stay tuned to the channel. We have a big charity stream that we are doing for Give Kids the World, and I'm very happy to announce today that I've been working alongside Disney, who has taken very good care of me over the years, and Walt Disney World is going to do something very sweet for us. For all the donations that we make up to about $25,000, they are going to match dollar for dollar for Give Kids the World. So, boom. So we're gonna make stuff happen for Give Kids the World Village. I'm very excited. We've got some fun streams and some fun partnerships with all sorts of streams along the way. So. Yeah. Smoke is awesome. Smoke's coming back. I've been told I need to do a one-shot with the rejects from the Lost Isle, which is essentially just going to be the Suicide Squad. With our crazy bomb. What is it?
Bon voyage.
Bon voyage.
Bon voyage.
Bon voyage. And the three goblins in a trench coat, and our vampire accountant. If you haven't had a chance to watch that episode, your brother comes on and does like 3 characters back to back.
Yeah.
One in which is a vampire accountant, which is just
That's
It's
so
amazing.
awesome.
They basically interviewed him and asked him all accounting questions. And he's like, no, but I'm a hero. I was like, yeah, but our taxes. How would we like? And he's like, I don't like this. It's really great. So if you have a chance to watch that, Icky just got coffee. Hospital coffee. Oh, no, that's good. Yeah, there you go. Zero's still not sure what he was auditioning for. Zero, God, that
I
kid.
love that character so much.
God, that kid.
We were saying there was like, is that Zero? Is that Zero?
So, how about this? A little Wonder lore. Dude, that's why the White Knight wasn't there. Because that was Zero. I couldn't do it. Like Zero's out there, but no, like he's the representation. He's the connection with the White Knight. So, so yeah, it's very cool.
Is that his deity he's a paladin for?
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
So so awesome, fun stuff. Once upon a time in Neverland, we missed our dear Des Bahai as she was helping facilitate the leadership transition in the politics.
This is
Stunning
a
strike.
politics game. Politics.
Politics.
So to like the courtroom and they're like all fighting.
And Des is just kind of sitting here, like she puts a hand up and everybody stops. So Des Bahai was helping facilitate.
Business is politics.
This is politics.
It's Regina George in the hallway. Yeah.
I'm not sure if this word means what you think it means. So our Des Bahai was helping facilitate the leadership changeover. And while that was happening, the Neverland crew was exploring and investigating the disappearance of a lot of the wildlife that was around this particular portion of Neverland that was disappearing. After some careful examination and some not so careful examination, they discovered a couple of mimics that were masquerading. One was masquerading as a bird nest. The other one was masquerading as a stump. Upon searching a little bit further, you didn't really find the stump, but that was a freebie. Some more exploration led them to a large mass located underneath Neverland. This large blob of a creature registered as an abomination, I think, because someone used primordial sense. And you saw all these tentacles wrapped around the necks of animals that were below, and it almost was this macabre Noah's Ark scenario with animals tied up with these long strands of purple tentacles that seemed to wrap around their neck and keep them docile until one animal was sort of pulled into the teeming mass that was this large blob. Through some clever magics, one of the party, Fortunato, was able to establish a psychic link with the mass and have a conversation that went about as well as anyone could have expected it to go. The group was like, cool. No! And
we can't do this.
left seeking guidance in everyone's favorite furball, Rovar. Rovar sent up the nature symbol, which is just the moon, which gets very confusing at nighttime, summoning forth a litany of furbolgs, as 42 to be exact, which is the answer to life, the universe, and everything, as they all appear in this small clearing called Iso's Glade. Iso's Glade is this beautiful glade, and it's turning into early evening as all of them sort of turn their heads and look at the group and say, well, what would you like us to do? And that's where we're picking back up with things. Des Bahai, for the sake of the story, I'm going to say that you were filled in fairly early on in terms of what's going on. And as they all turn around and they're like, what would you like us to do? The group surveys the group and they just see you standing there like arms crossed, like, yeah, what do you want us to do?
Yeah.
So
we were thinking, this thing, it might be evil, it might not be evil. It's trying to eat. Obviously, it's doing it in a very poor way, and we don't like any of that. So let's just see what it's all about. See if we can reason with it. See if we can get it to reduce its intake to a more, reasonable level. And if not, we'll just punch it a lot. Right? Yeah.
I mean, he's got a point. I mean, That seems to be the going rate for everything, is talking to it. If talking don't work, then we hit it.
I mean, we have a bunch of extra fists to punch with.
One of a few of the furbolgs at this, like, we're gonna reason with it, and then if it doesn't work, we're gonna punch it real hard. A bunch of the furbolgs who are all sitting down so as not to tower over the group. Some of them put their hands in the air very slowly, as if this is a class.
You first.
Yes, one of the furbolgs will say that this one has flowers braided in her hair just at various intervals that are all just sort of like there, and she goes, yes. How will we talk with it?
Well.
Oh, you are the representative?
No. I mean, apparently.
He's the only one that... He's already talking to it.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, it didn't mean. I mean, it did. Look, it was a bad idea.
How did you talk to it?
And in your head, you're gonna hear him go, "I can talk to anybody."
Oh, we're still waiting for the answer. How did you talk?
I can talk to anybody. Like that.
All right. Another furbolg will raise his hand. He's got half of the fur on his face seems to be a little like matted, as if it was pressed down with mud. He says, "If the creature is as big as you say it is, do we have the capabilities in order to hurt such a thing?"
Rovar seemed to think so.
All the heads are going to turn towards Rovar, and he's like, "Ooh, hey." Well, I have faith in this group. I have faith in all of us. Violence should never be the go-to answer here. And I'm really glad that you said that, Slowpoke, about trying to speak with it first and then going from there, because the thing that bothers me is if this creature is as big as you say it is, how do you displace it? Like, if you do get it to agree to stop or go somewhere, it's still a parent. Like, it's still got children.
Well, do you have any sort? Does any of your the furballs here have any sort of teleportation or moving
Probably
or
nothing.
U-Haul spells?
Or maybe we can just shrink it to something really small.
Yes.
What's a U-Haul?
Like you haul it somewhere else.
One of the all the eyes dart towards the back corner where they dart toward Yuhul, one of the furbolgs in the back corner, and they all sort of dart their eyes. He's like, I don't know what he's talking about.
I'm actually a fighter. I don't have any spells.
Rovar says we can take a small contingent and work on a very large teleportation circle, channeling our magics, but this will take a great deal of energy to do. The creature would have to be willing in order to accommodate a being of that size.
Well, then
Even then, where would we put it?
we could ask it where it was before.
What if it was always here?
I mean, even if it was here and we moved it, it's what's holding up the forest right now. So if that's gone, the forest is going to fall into the hole where it is. Just throwing that one out there.
But
for
if we
business.
kill it, would that not cause the same issue?
It would. So I feel like we shouldn't do that if we can.
Just
If we
leave it.
killed it, it would decompose into the soil and cause many trees to grow, and life would continue on.
Because right now it's being more of a hindrance than it is being a help.
Thon, one of the furbolgs, another one sort of in the corner, says, we could work on reinforcing the ground while you are talking with the creature and take away that portion of the equation. I will take 6 or 7 other of the circle with us, and we will work on that.
How do we know that we're not going to banish it into another place where it just does the same thing to someone else?
That's what I was concerned
If it's
about.
going to be anywhere and it's going to continue this toxic behavior, I say the best place for it to exist is here, where we have fighters and people who can handle it, as opposed to the outside world, where
What if
people
we send
aren't
it
equipped.
to a local island? You know, like one of the surrounding islands that isn't populated. It
How
won't.
would it get food?
Yeah. Can they swim?
Well, whale. I assume.
We can't send it up into the
I think-
stars.
Well, clearly this was not a problem before. So if it was either not here or it's been here for a while, but it hasn't affected the animal life significantly until now, So
Which means...
if it wants to reason with us, I say we talk to it and maybe it'll have the answers.
When you say how do we do something like this, like how do we banish it, that word triggers a bit of conversation, and one of the furbolgs is the only furbolg in the bunch who is wearing clothing. The other ones have like cloaks and random things like this, but this one is wearing pants, a shirt, and almost a facsimile of human attire. He's also the skinniest of the group. Trahawk stands up and says, That's the key right there, banishment. If this creature is not from this plane, if we banish it, it will return back to its home plane. Does anyone here have access to that ability?
I don't believe we do.
No.
Even if we could get it, I think that's above our
skill set at the moment.
I don't think we're quite strong enough yet.
Do you know of anyone that might have access to that ability? Strong connection to the arcane, or maybe learned individuals, wizards.
Not Todd.
Perhaps people from
The
Indigo?
weird
Perhaps
people at the water slide. Do you remember them?
The
Yeah.
bureau
Oh
people?
yes.
I don't.
The indigo people.
Do any of you have the ability to do that?
As you look about the space, they all shake their heads no. Give me an Arcana check, Thistle, as you ask this question and are just sort of...
That would be a 6 minus 1, which would be a 5.
I have our Arcana. Can I?
Yeah, anybody with Arcana as a proficiency,
Yep.
if you'd like to go ahead and make that...
17.
17. So, yeah. 12. I'd say even with the 12, it's a low DC. They're druids. Each and every one of them, all from different walks of life and all sort of different, but druids don't have access to this particular ability. I think with an Arcana, you would be familiar that wizards sometimes have access to this particular like ability to banish something to
Rangers
another
can
planet.
eventually.
Rangers can eventually.
I think
Write
bards
that
can
spell down
eventually.
for later.
Bards can. I think bards can eventually. Depending on which kind of bard it is. Holy men get access to this spell. Wizards get access to this spell.
We know the group of changelings.
But we don't. But we have some conflicts with.
We do have conflicts with them, but
What about the
for
guy?
the
What
good
was the guy
of-
with the hot air balloon?
I don't think it was a real wizard.
He wasn't a real
It's
wizard.
best shot.
No. And then Dole is another person that we could.
Do the
too.
mer people like? I mean, I bet this doesn't affect them directly, but
The mer people do have access to strong magics. A lot of them follow the poised dawn, and you know that there is a collection of holy of worshippers in that small sect. You do have a connection with somebody from there.
Our,
We could.
Our thingy jiggers.
You
Our
have-
access things.
You
we
do.
we could talk to the mer people, see if they want to help. Like,
Even then, it's on land.
Well, this
They
may
can
be all
walk on land.
unnecessary. We may be able to just talk to it, and it might say, hey, I've got a solution to this. And then if there is no solution, and
Then
it's
we
just
go
going
to
to keep
plan B.
killing things, then we either kill it with fire or find someone to banish it.
I don't disagree.
That's
Let's
kind
stick
of
with
our-
the initial plan. Let's go talk to it. Maybe it will have the answers we need if it wants to help. And if it's not going to help and it's going to be a hindrance to the world we live in, then we'll deal with it in the way we see fit. If it's not going to help us, help it.
It's a great question, Icky. So yeah, the furbolgs all nod their head in agreement.
Yes.
Should reinforce the ground now, just in case.
I think you have to wait till we get down there, correct?
No, we can
it
start
from
working
here?
on the ground right now.
Alright, then yes.
Yeah, so I think a few of them, they talk about who would best be good for this.
You know what would be really great right now? Is a nap.
Thawne goes, rest here in Isos Glade. Rovar, protect your people. And then Thawne takes a small contingency of about 6 or 7 and says, we will start to reinforce the ground around the area that you recommended. Were you able to detect the creature by seeing magic?
Yes.
This is something all furbolgs can do. So we will be able to look and find where its magic is seeping into the earth and do our best to start reinforcing the ground without trying to awaken anything that might awaken. So Thawne leads a group, and Rovar like sort of smiles and says, "Yeah, if you guys want to camp out here, I mean, we got your back. You can also head back to Desbahai's village, or if you guys want to rest there, it's up to you all."
Over here, let's
Yeah.
rest.
Yeah, I think with the sound of like, "Hey, we're all gonna chill," there's a as they all start setting up. They all start using plant growth and different things that they brought with them to after a bit of time, far faster than any of you I think have ever done. There's a couple of bonfires set up that are very carefully contained so as not to disturb the environment. The smells of cooked meat and different like fruits and veggies are being collected, and there's polite conversation going on, but they're all hyper aware that you guys like look exhausted and beat to within an inch to some of you. So Rovar sets aside this small encampment, and you notice that 4 or 5 of the furbolgs wild shape and take the form of like different animals like wolves and things like that, and just sort of start patrolling the small glade that you're in. And he sets up in a log not too far away, just sort of resting his back, and occasionally, as the sun begins to set further and further, his fun guys come out to play. He gives a sharp whistle, and his back just starts Exactly. Like his back starts glowing, and these little like pollen, these little spores come out and sort of surround the area. And he holds out a hand, and they all wrap around his hand, and he sends them flying off into the air. They go for a little bit, and then they come back, and then go back into the mushrooms growing on his back. So, you guys are welcome to rest and trust in that Rovar will look after you if you want to take a long rest.
Sleeping like 5 minutes ago.
Yeah, Thistle's butt in the air, face down, and yeah, like anybody else doing anything with their evening?
Clip doesn't sleep. Shouldn't be able to.
Okay, go ahead and take a point of exhaustion.
Yeah.
You're gonna have disadvantage on all of the skill checks that you take.
Okay.
But
She just wouldn't be able to.
yeah.
Saw her family.
No, I
being eaten.
I get
pretty
it.
much.
Take a DM inspiration, because that's good character stuff, and I totally get that, and maybe that can help offset one of those skill checks. Okay, but I appreciate that. Live your truth. Out, buried in the ground. Oh, yeah. Let's justify this, buddy. I don't know if did we roll for this?
We did roll for it. I've already taken the damage for it. And I've already taken the damage.
You already taken the damage. In the middle of the night. Before everyone goes to sleep, you hear a small coming from the corner of the camp. I think before everyone falls asleep that night, you all look over, with the exception of Thistle, who's like, I'm immediately out. Like, you hear the small, and as you all look over, you are greeted to a pretty odd sight. Cal's hand has fallen off. The bone has been removed. The hand begins to wither and turn to dust as it falls to the ground. Hook's hook is firmly in his arm, like it is connected as if it has always been there, and his bone seems to have grown around it.
It is attached.
Right hand or left hand?
Left hand. He'll use right for other things.
Yeah. But his left hand is completely gone. In it is fading before all of your eyes. God. His left hand is gone. Everybody that's up and is seeing this, and that it's lit by firelight. So I'll give everybody that wants to freak out. A perception check or an investigation, your choice.
Oh no.
No.
16. 24.
24.
18.
18.
Alright, so
16.
my nat turtle plus
You're not turtle. Okay, so I'll say this: you two, Dez and Fortunato, he doesn't look that much different. He really doesn't. Other than his hand being gone, like he's you know, he looks like he's in pain. He's definitely like, if a skeleton can look paler, he looks paler. You two, he's got an, I don't know how else to say it. He's got an aura about him. Like he's just got like you don't know if he's got more weight in this world. People hold themselves with a certain weight. Like it's a force of being. You felt it a little bit when you were talking to the odd old man on the ship. You felt it a little bit every time you cast your primordial sense and you're searching around for different things, and when something holds tight to it. He doesn't look different to you, but you two, the hairs on your arm stand up a little bit. It's like Cal has weight to him. Okay? Okay. You all rest, with the exception of Clip, who stays up and just is unable to...
She's just pacing.
Yeah, I think at one point Rovar will come over to where you are and be like, hey, you okay?
No.
What's wrong?
It has my family.
The animals.
Yes.
And that bothers you?
Yes.
I think if I was the animal, which I have been several times, I would be happy that I had someone that cared as much as you did.
And I hug him.
Yeah, he gives you a big hug, and I think he pats a little spot next to him on the log, and you just kind of sit there, and he does the spores in the air and stuff like that. In the middle of the night, you're real tired. Give me a perception check at disadvantage.
Perception's not great anyway.
That's okay. That's okay.
We were double 20s.
Nope.
2.
Rovar laughs as this little like floofy ball rolls past Eris. It's just a little floofy ball. But Rovar gets looks concerned for a second, grabs the staff at his side, and then just like snorts to himself. You just see this weird little floofy ball, little floof, roll past Eris, and I think it gives a little toot as it goes past her sleeping quarters, and Eris just moves her nose instinctively into her sleep, and Rovar goes, "Never seen one of those before. That's new." Okay. Yeah, you guys all wake up. Long rest in hand. Go ahead and mark that down on your character sheet. Thank you, D&D Beyond. Spell slots are recouped. Things of that sort. You also don't regain any of your rage.
Nope, I do not.
Okay. All right. So, next morning. Once again, you are greeted to the smells and sounds of food being cooked, and the glade is teeming. You notice that a few of the furbolgs that left the previous morning are back, and some of them look a little beat up. Thawne, in particular, is nursing this looks like gash from his arm to about here. And as you look over, he just says, "Mimic." Beehive. Yeah.
Wait, were you reaching for a beehive?
I wasn't. And he turns his head to the side, and one of them's one of them turns around, and he's got a bite mark that seems to be here and here.
Oh no!
And he's like, "I don't want to talk about it." Thawne goes forward and casts a healing word, and you see the bite marks start to heal over him. He pulls you guys aside, and he looks over at Rovar, and Rovar sort of nods his head. Yeah, go ahead. And he goes, "You need to be aware that there's a good chance that this thing's not gonna respond well."
We're thinking that's how it's gonna happen.
Yeah.
But
Rovar met you guys a few days ago, and he's already super protective. And this thing, if this is her creatures and her kids, she's gonna fight.
okay.
So, just be careful.
Do we still want to go through with the initial plan?
What else would we do?
Could just surprise it.
A feast is laid out for you guys before you set out. It is a very special feast. It is usually reserved for people of a much higher level, but they have got your back, and the furbolgs are all prepared. You see them each taking bits of gold out of their satchel and handing it to one in particular, who takes the gold and spends some time and then manifests a golden cup. The cup is laid on a table, and then the cup is consumed with this magic, and a bunch of food hits the table. But it's odd food. It's everybody's favorite food. Everybody has that one food that's a comfort item, and it hits the table. So, for this feast, anybody that has any diseases or poisons, you're cured of them. You are actually immune to poison. Let's see, takes 1 hour to consume. Increase it. 24 hours. The next 24 hours, you are immune to poison. You are immune to being frightened, which is huge when you're talking to this thing. All of your wisdom saving throws are made with advantage. And everybody can roll 2d10, and your hit point maximum goes up that much.
Ooh.
You can.
You have had your hero's feast.
Ooh, good bloody ruler. That's a solid 16.
Yeah, that's your hit point max. So it's not.
It's added on top of your temp.
It's not temporary hit points. That's your hit point max goes up that many. So if you lose temporary hit points, they go away. But this is like you could be healed up to that amount for the next 24 hours.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So 50.
Yeah. If you put it on D&D Beyond,
2d10. Trace.
Put it in under max HP modifier, and it'll add everything.
If you click on your hit points.
Okay. I got it.
Please keep track of that for any wisdom saving throws that you make, or being frightened and poisoned. Like you need to keep track of that.
For exhaustion, it's just skill checks, not saving throws, right?
It is not saving throws. It is just
skill checks.
It is just skill checks, ability checks, and
Okay.
things of that sort. Two levels of exhaustion. Your speed is halved. Yeah.
Yeah, put it there.
We have advantage towards
Some saving throws.
Saves.
Oh, excuse me. Go under conditions.
So, and you can't be frightened, which is real big
Yeah.
for this thing.
You're good.
But everybody's favorite food is on the table. What is everybody's favorite food?
Corn.
Corn.
This is 18-year-old Slowpoke, so it's just like pizza you put in the oven.
Pizza you put in the oven.
Like
Fortunato.
a store pizza.
Biscuits and gravy.
Biscuits and gravy.
I think that's
Thistle.
Cookies and cake and all things sugar.
All things sugar.
Green tea.
Green tea. I love it. Okay.
Pirate days. Meats, salted meats, jerky.
Salted meats. Like there's a bowl of fruit, and you're like, get out of the way.
Dragon fruit and kiwis.
Dragon fruit and kiwis. All of it is there, and it tastes amazing. You've had your hero's feast. Rovar asked if you want him to come with.
Yes.
I think it might help to have the extra.
Okay. None of the other furbolgs do,
Cool.
as they don't want to encounter this thing firsthand. But they say that they will set out another contingent. They'll let this group heal, and they're going to send out another contingent to keep reinforcing the ground. It's a much larger area than they anticipated. Okay.
It's gonna go with a Fortunato.
Okay.
Hey.
Hi.
And drop the 300 gold wheel you in front of you.
Nice.
And say, help because you want to, not because you have to.
I mean, at this point, I'm involved, so yeah, I'm here. Thanks.
He's like, well, I'm involved. And he
one
slowly
day.
picks up the coins.
Yeah, he's definitely taking.
And like, no, seriously, I don't need this. I don't need this.
You're
Like,
too short, actually.
all right, gang.
Can't count, so
Unfortunately, I was
maybe.
Can I-
carrying a bag with
Because
me.
I forgot,
No.
because I lost track of the number of characters I have.
Sure.
Can I say, because I don't know if I switch out spells during a long rest, I don't know if I have to have said that before the long rest starts.
You do not have to say
Okay.
Just
Then
kind of
I
before the
would like
day.
to switch out a spell to be able to also be one who can communicate other than just him.
that. Sure.
Uh,
What spell are
I'd
you
like
doing?
to spell tongues
Okay.
because it means if I touch it, it can understand us.
Great.
If you
Great. Nope. Everybody stop talking. Yes.
Nope.
Yes, and.
It's okay. Wait, any
can
spoken
understand
language it
us.
hears, any creature that knows at least one language understands what it says. I know I would have to touch it, but still, hey.
I'm into
Touch yourself, but also touch it.
Heroes, where are we going?
Let's go talk to a monster.
Oh, and I'm sorry, I had one other question, and it was just because it's something that we did not clarify last time. We have not encountered anyone that has diamonds. I've had Revivify, but technically I cannot use it because we've not encountered anyone who has any diamonds.
Yeah, give me a
So is this
perspective.
something we can address now?
Yeah. You address the furball contingency. This is actually a circle that I have developed called the Never Circle. It's a special druidic subclass, but the Never Circle. I don't know. One day. Now you have an in if you want to train me. The Never Circle contingent. They sort of look around the area. Yeah, let's say that. There's a furball off in the back who has a sack of stuff with him, and you explain your predicament. Give me a persuasion roll as
Okay.
you're like, hey, listen, give me some of them diamonds.
Can we
as
have
you
some of your diamonds just in case one of us dies?
as you talk to Kratz, and
It's just, that is an 18 plus 4.
what do you say to Kratz?
Okay, so I know that if one of us dies, I could help, but I don't have all the things I need to help.
Okay.
And I haven't found any diamonds yet, and
Sure.
I'm pretty sure that's the only thing that I'm supposed to be able to
Okay.
use.
Okay.
Do you have?
Yeah, just stop talking. And he hands you a diamond, and then you kind of look at him and you give him the cute face, and he hands you a second.
I have to smash it myself. How do you smash your diamonds?
He puts them.
Oh, never mind. I had an idea. Thank you very much for the diamonds. I appreciate it.
That's great. Your voice changed and got very manly for a second. Is that?
Oh, sometimes it does that. I'm working on my ventriloquism.
Ventriloquism.
That's very good. That's very good. Yeah. Good luck.
That's
And
not what ventriloquism is, but that's okay. Thank you.
I look forward
For
to
the
studying Votral with you. Okay. He hands you the 2 diamonds.
Can you help me crush these diamonds? Well, just in case I need them later, it would be really inconvenient to be like, oh, they're dead, but can you help me smash these diamonds so I can help them out?
Fine, just stop talking. And I've got a jeweler's kit and proficiency, and I'll just grind them up.
Yeah. I will say this takes place over breakfast. It's so funny. Like
Over breakfast.
people are enjoying like Heroes Feast, and he's like, crush the diamonds, crush the diamonds. Like, yeah, with the jeweler's kit. Anybody else doing any sort of prep before you go out?
Boy, after our breakfast, I sure do feel a lot better. If we need to fight this thing, we better do it within the time I'm feeling good from this breakfast.
Which is 24
24
hours.
Yeah. So we should go like now.
Yeah, we're like right now.
We're 23 hours in.
We don't want for us to feel bad or worse when we
Or
fight
just
this
normal.
thing.
Ugh.
Or just normal.
I was thinking waiting a day. Yeah.
No,
We
I
don't-
think
a little
that's
stroll on the
a bad
beach.
idea.
No.
I think
Slowpoke's like, we just had a Heroes Feast.
Time for a
Snowball
nap.
fight.
I'm already halfway down to a nap now, man.
How? Let me ask this. I rarely ask this. other than Clip, we know where Clip's head is at. She's not great. How is everybody else feeling about this?
Bad.
Fortunato looks nervous. Is Dez confident that like it's just another obstacle?
It's probably like the biggest predator she's had to take down. So.
Big predator.
Yeah. It's like a big hunt.
Okay.
I don't know. I feel like Slowpoke's. I'm feeling pretty good about.
He's
this
19 too. It's just
it's like 19-year-old Slowpoke who's like back in the monster fighting game. And it's like, and he knows he's morally in the right because we're gonna talk to it first, and then we'll shoot it. So morally, we're in the good.
It's about the principle.
Unfortunately, I was feeling this, but the exact flip side.
Yeah.
We're gonna screw this up, period. This poor thing is just trying to eat and feed its children, and we're gonna come stab it. Great.
Well, that's why we're gonna talk to it. Is because like, yeah, it might. I don't know. There's that. You know, there's nature has a balance. You can't just wipe out an entire species for yourself. You know, so it's clearly doing something wrong. So we have to talk to it, figure out what's going on, see if it will reason with us, and if not, and if it's
then we
just
wipe
the
out the
balance
species.
forever.
Yeah,
forever.
It's
so we're gonna wipe out the
everybody
species
has
that's
hunting
here
laws,
first.
you know?
Yeah.
It's like duck season and rabbit season
And it's not
exists
abiding
for
by
a
any of
reason.
that.
And everyone's like,
Humans.
oh, it's like a fun hunt.
No, it's
and
doing-
Flip was like, this is my
No, it's
entire
like-
family.
It's like it's rabbit season, but it's doing eagle season. You know,
Yeah.
which is wrong.
Like bald eagle season.
Like,
And Cal,
Where Cal's head is at is, he caused the last big fight, so he's kind of on board with anything that's going on. He kind of owes the group.
I actually need you. This is your first day with a hook, correct?
This is the first
Please go ahead and flip your coin.
Oh God.
Goodbye, forever.
Tails.
Okay.
But he's but that's part of the reason why he put the hook on, was if it's gonna helping the group,
Okay.
it's worth the risk in his head.
You don't know why. It's not anything that dramatically affects what's happening around you.
Mm-hmm.
But Thistle's pissing you off a little bit more this morning.
Okay.
Eris.
She feels smaller than she's ever felt before, which is saying a lot.
Yeah. I think there's an odd moment where you're shrinking into yourself, and it's almost like you feel like you're turning back into a pixie, where you feel like you're just feeling little. I think it's difficult as everyone else is sort of like gearing up and gunning up, and you're reflecting this energy. You do at one point at this low moment feel a hand on your shoulder. Just give a gentle squeeze, and it's a comforting thing. It's almost a parental, and you smile thinking it's Rovar going to wrap you in one of those big hugs, and when you turn around, that hand is gone. But the feeling of comfort is still there. This feeling of you got this. It's almost like a dad at a little league game. Come on, you got this. And when you turn around and it's not there, you're not filled with existential dread of a ghost just was grabbing my shoulder. You feel that comfort lingering a little bit. So take of that what you will. Okay? All right. We set out into the forest outside of Isos Glade with... how are we attempting to get in to this area?
Should we try the cave?
Go back the same way we did? We dug down,
You
right?
dug down. I would remind you that you have just asked the Furbolgs to start reinforce the ground.
Oh, so they're down there anyway.
No, let's go through the cave.
I don't think they
Yeah.
go down there. I think they do it from the surface level.
You see that the plant growth around the area has been strengthened. It's almost as if large vines. It's giving the floor the swampy sort of vibe to it, as the grass has been replaced with crisscrossing. You ever seen a tree root grow on the ground, it cuts through the sidewalk a little bit? You're noticing that more and more. It's going to take a little bit more to cut through.
Right. So that cave that we saw, from the first...
That might be the first place to start.
All right. Following the tracks that you so easily found before, you make your way to the cave entrance.
I'm going to take back my hand axe when we walk by it, because I put it as a marker.
You did. Taking back your hand axe, you see a little bit of plant growth on it. The smell is the first thing that hits. walking into this cave. Some of you that entered into the cave and were close to that opening remember this smell. It's a bunch of animals in that one space. That's one thing, but there's something else on top of it, like an odd irony smell to it. It's hard to place. It's hard to put your finger on, but it's this iron taste at the back of your mouth when you enter into the cave. I don't. Anybody that has a proficiency in medicine that wants to do a medicine check, I would do medicine or nature. But
I can check.
No, I have it, but
Mine is more cosmetic than anything else. Now that he has a hook on it, he's kind of taken off one shoulder of the jacket, so the jacket sleeve has covered the hook.
so you can't see the hook?
For the right now. Just
For right now, your jacket sleeve is pushed
just,
down. I think you unfurl it a little bit, almost as if it was like there and you unfurl
just
it.
so if it triggers anything with this thing, that it doesn't
absolutely.
need to be in complete sight.
my nature's a 14.
Nature's a 14.
Did roll it.
Okay. I'm gonna message you.
Okay.
Story time.
You make your way into the cave. Who's taking the lead on this one? I need to know a marching order, please.
I would think. Okay.
Clip.
I'd try to be close to the front because I'm.
Clip.
Monster guy.
Slowpoke.
If I can touch it, I can make it be able to understand us and we
Is
can
it
understand
sticky like it's kids?
Well,
Third.
You guys can pull me off it somehow. I'll figure it out.
Cal is third.
Is it sticky like it's kids?
I haven't really tried to touch
If it is, then
Clip
I
that,
should
quote
not
that.
win this fight.
Okay. Who doesn't have dark vision?
Oh, fuck me.
Cool. Any checks that you make around this area, don't forget that all of your checks are at disadvantage, so that nature check should have been at disadvantage.
It was.
Okay, good, perfect. As you walk into this cave, it's going to get real dark real quick. Right now, a little bit of the morning light is sneaking in to this area.
Do we want to provide light in any way? I have a torch I can light if that helps.
Anyone have any super magic light?
Clip,
I do.
Clip, Slowpoke, Cal, Eris,
I have magic.
Dez, you're behind
I'm
Eris.
probably following in the back.
Following in the back. Lead, Fortunato.
I'm at the very back. As far away from this thing as I can possibly.
Both of us then.
Yeah,
are in
you
the
guys are both
very
doing that
very-
fighting thing. No, I insist. No, I insist.
Oh, yeah.
Please go.
I
And
assume
then
we could be 2x2.
yes, no. For the first part of this, you may. As the cave gets closer and closer, you notice that it's getting a little cramped in here. At one point, you are going to have to get down on your hands and knees and crawl through this little area.
I'm a wolf, not a badger.
Think small.
Would you like me to make it lighter in here?
Hillsborough.
Yes.
Hillsborough.
Okay. I cast
Still.
light. But it only goes for a 20. Well, it's bright light in a 20-foot radius, and then dim for an additional 20 feet.
Okay.
Where did you send this message?
Does it fall us or does it
It stays with me.
Sorry,
Well,
I'm
it's an object, but I can like cast it
Okay.
on any random thing in my hand. So I
Cast it on your hair.
Where flowers? Cool. All right, so your hair is.
sure yes
Awesome.
yes and my hair is glowing.
So what's great is like Thistle in canon has like super like curly hair, so it just goes like it almost looks like this like walking like ooh, and like has the curls sort of bounce like a little bits of light like shine everywhere. Paints odd shadows on the wall. After a bit of travel,
I'm staying up front.
yeah. After a bit.
If someone tries to be like, oh, I'll go up front, it's like, nope.
Okay, I mean, I have the bow and arrow. Oh, okay, I'll stay back.
I have a sucky solution to this this tongues thing, but I can do it without getting sucked or thing.
Okay. It takes a bit of time to crawl through the area. You notice that there's no opposition. You know that some of the mimics were in this area, but as you make your way over and through the tunnels, keeping a watchful eye on things, you are unable to spot anything impeding your path. You do get to a small tunnel. This tunnel is not that big. It looks like you will have to crawl on your hands and knees to get through it, to get to the other side of this thing. Are we keeping the same marching order? Clip, you're going first,
Yes.
knowing that you're exhausted.
Yes.
Okay.
I want to cast Detect Magic before we go through.
Okay. You cast Detect Magic. And as you do, once again, we talked about how the different shades and colors manifest for Eris. Eris, the good news is you don't have to worry about it being not bright enough. As the light from this creature is sort of shining out and sending like little auras of light through the air, and it's almost like you can see the outline. It's almost like heat vision, where you see the massive creature, and you know that it's right beyond this little wall.
It's right past the
It's
tunnel.
right past the tunnel.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
you don't see anything in the tunnel. You just see a passageway through.
Okay. I let everyone know.
Okay. Athletics check as you make your way through at disadvantage.
What's this wall? Is this just dirt wall?
It just looks like it's carved in stone.
It's stone wall. Okay.
Yeah.
10.
It takes a little while for Clip to get through. She's not moving at the same speed and urgency that she normally does. But with the encouragement of the group, Clip, you come out the other side and you're greeted to the sight of animals upon animals in different rows. There doesn't seem to be any sort of semblance of order. These small purple leashes wrapped around their neck, lined up with a center row leading to this mass, which is just in the center of this large chamber. The animals are lined up, each with like purple little leashes wrapped around them, and as you come out, you see some of these purple tentacles just sort of like floating in the air, as almost as if they're waiting for something to come in.
Can I roll perception or investigation to see if they look
Not yet.
sticky? Okay.
Clip comes through, followed by Slowpoke, followed by Cal. Nope. I asked what the order was. Followed by Eris, followed by Thistle. As Thistle comes through, right before Dez and Fortunato come through, I would say one of the tentacles is going to lash out and try to establish contact. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
These are tentacles from the main VC.
Yes.
Got it.
They all seem to be radiating from this thing. 1, 2, 3. Cal, give me a dexterity saving throw.
Cool.
As you two come out, Dez and Fortunato,
21.
you see one of the tentacles like make a beeline for Cal and try to wrap around, but Cal is not paying attention to what he's doing, but the hand comes up, blocks it, and throws it down to the ground, and Cal just sort of looks at the hand.
How tall is this chamber?
This chamber is very, very large. I want to say ballparking 70 feet.
How long are the tentacles?
The tentacles stretch out a football field. There's so
Like
many
high.
animals, like high. Some of them are at midway, but some of them are snaking around the ground, almost looking like the veins on somebody's skin
Back
that's
to my
standing out.
question, did they look sticky?
Give me an investigation check as you take a look at the tentacles and you're just seeing.
You've got
'Cause
one
I
that's on
wanna
the floor
fly
now.
up as high as
Investigation
I can
is
go.
17, but there's also one on the floor,
Is there-
so I can get
Yeah.
it
Did I
this
pat
way.
it away or just?
Do you want to touch it?
I don't want to touch it, but I'm looking for if it looks sticky.
There's condensation on it. What was your investigation check?
17.
I would say there's some rocks and things like that. You take a rock and you like gently, like really quickly, using your monk-like ability, like drop the rock and sort of back up, and you do see like there's a little like film on there, and you think it's sticky, but it's hard to tell without actually like judging something stickiness without touching it. As a parent, I can attest it's very hard to do.
Could I take a rock and like just kind of like stick it on and see if it pulls off?
Absolutely. As you take the rock and place it on the tentacle, give me a dexterity check as that thing writhes and wriggles around and tries to lash upward towards where your arm is.
Check or saving throw?
I will say make this a saving throw.
That's an 18.
18. You guys are rolling hot, which is good because once again, using your monk-like abilities, you sort of push your hands back and sort of lean back as this thing goes close to your neck but moves away.
Matrix style?
Matrix style. Just to lean back like you're up in the air. Okay?
I
You're
want to get about 60.
60 feet up. Okay. I'm going to warn you. You can do this. This has benefits and bad stuff.
Yeah.
If this tentacle wraps around your neck, you do think you could be floating still in the air. But there's also the possibility that your body shuts down. You don't know what it's going to do.
Yeah.
Okay?
Okay.
60 feet up. As Eris just goes, I got this. And she flies up in the air.
Do we all want to be able to talk to it and hear it at the same time?
I mean, it's already made its moves against us. We're gonna do something fat. Do it now.
While they're doing this, I'm looking for wolves or bears.
So you're ignoring anything that she just said? Like you're just like sort of scoping out the area.
So
We said if it
Talk
proves
or
to
no
be
talk?
hostile, that we wouldn't even try to talk to
Perce-
it. We would
perception
immediately try and
disadvantage.
vanish.
I mean, even
No,
Clip's upset, so I'm
what I mean.
upset.
It's
I'm like,
like-
don't cry.
It's all right. It's all right.
so you guys don't want to be able to talk. You just want to attack.
No, I don't think we should attack. We need
That's a
people
6.
before we even attack, and it's already proving to be
It's
hostile.
too many animals.
If we want to go through with this, we could get killed.
Okay. So do you want to be able to talk to it?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So I send Scritch forward
Okay.
instead of myself.
Clever girl.
And
Channeling the touch spell through Scritch.
yes, and so Scritch is going to cast tongues on it,
Sure.
and then pop out.
Scritch darts forward, and as he does, the tentacle wraps around him. Scritch releases the spell as the tentacle begins to squeeze around, and Thistle, as she does, there's like a faint laugh on the wind as Scritch pops into her pocket again. There's a pause in the cavern, and then you hear, "Well, welcome to my home.
Hello.
Hello."
Are we all in?
Yes.
You
Everyone
hear
can
this
hear
sound
and can talk.
as if it's
Also-
echoing out from this large mass in front of you, like an echo far away.
Slightly before this started, I will say I wanted to cast protection from evil and good on myself.
Yep,
Cool.
got it. That is up and running. Yep.
Right, yes. Hello. Anyone have anything?
We have a problem, and
Yeah.
we're hoping that you can help.
Every animal in the cavern turns around to face you all.
See, you're killing a whole bunch of animals, and it's a bit of a problem. So we'd like to figure out a way that you can survive and all of the animals can survive. And it might mean that you might have to leave, but we'd like to help in any way we can to make sure that all of these things can happen. You got any ideas?
This is stretching how you can listen. Like 60 feet away is a bit of a jump. You can still hear for now. Any further from this, you're gonna be like, what?
Yeah.
Like, let me know what she said. Like, so you
I
can
can
hear
hear.
her voice perfectly. Yeah,
What if I go down 10?
If you go down, yeah,
Yeah,
it's a little bit.
let's
You
do
can hear
50.
what Thistle is saying.
I
And stuff
said
like
60.
That.
I was like, no, I should have. But yeah.
Yeah,
So I'm.
10 feet. You're in the
10 more.
conversation now.
I just want to be able to hear.
I don't see this as a problem.
Okay, so you're killing a bunch of animals and we don't like it because we'd like them to be alive, please.
How will I feed my children?
Well,
Will
that's
anybody
a
else
problem.
feed their children?
That is not my concern.
The animals have children too, or they would if they weren't being dead.
Not only that, but other people have to hunt as well.
That's
We all
hard to be
need to be
mad at you
friendly
right
towards each other. Safe for each other so that we all can stay alive. If not, then we're going to run this planet dry.
What is the concept of each other?
You're taking too much.
Each other. Your children, how many do you have?
Many.
They are all separate entities. Yes?
They are connected to me.
They're connected to you. Do they have their own forward thinking?
Some do, more than others.
Say one that has its own forward thinking and another that has its other forward thinking. Try to establish themselves. But one is taking too much. and the other one starves.
I would kill the one that is taking too much.
So if you are taking too much, we would like for us to all survive together.
The two of you, each of you, give me a persuasion check since you're tag teaming this.
18.
18.
11.
Shh. There is a long pause. I will release some of the animals.
You're very large. And so, I mean, that's like not meant to be mean or anything. We get that you need a lot of food. Is there a solution to this that might work for a long time and not just today? Like, could you be smaller or live somewhere else?
Could you be smaller or live someone else?
Yes, I could. I could live somewhere else. Or I could talk to somebody and they could make me smaller. I mean, I don't want to do that because I'm not very big myself.
Then I ask
could
you.
Be smaller?
There is. Every animal in this cavern does this. Like, cocks their head.
When you say some animals that you're going to release,
The heads start upward.
are you going to let them be free?
Yes.
For how
many
long?
Of the animals?
Some.
Most?
Most?
No, I need them to feed my children. You have made an argument. I do not wish to seek war.
This was not a problem before. Where were you before now?
I was other.
And why are you not still in other?
The world is gone now.
Because of you?
I don't believe so.
Did you run out of food?
No.
How did you come here?
Every animal that was looking over at Dez turns their head to you, and then all of them look up. Like, past Eris, just up at the ceiling.
You were brought here. Were you brought here?
Do not know.
You weren't here and then you were here.
Yes.
Did you choose to come here?
No.
So did somebody else choose to bring you here?
I suppose so.
So you need to go back home.
If we were to send you
Her home
back,
does
would
not
you want to go
exist.
back?
I have established roots here. My children are here.
Where are your children?
Ooh, like this an awful bit. Good question, though. Good question, though.
A tentacle will start snaking out, crawling along the ceiling towards you, and dangle in front of you. It does not wrap around your neck, it just hangs from the ceiling in front of you, almost as if it crawled along the ceiling and then dropped. And it's in front of you.
I hate tentacle stalagmites. They're the worst.
They stalagmites or
Stalactites.
Are those tentacles facing up?
Or down.
Or
A stalactite might be a stalagmite one day. Wait, what?
Wait,
no,
no.
that's not.
Wait, no?
What does that mean?
I will show you.
I don't like that.
Will I be harmed?
I do not know harm.
Insight.
Sure. Give me insight on the big blobby.
Remember, wisdom. Wisdom saves. Right?
Wisdom saves.
That's an 18.
21.
21. 18 to 21. The two of you incite that this thing views life in absolutes. There is alive, and there is not. The middle ground is just icing. Like the middle ground is just chaff. So there's two states of being: is and not is.
Will she be alive?
Yes.
Will she be free?
Yes.
After.
After.
For how long will she be with you?
As long as she would like.
You'll have free will.
What do I need to do?
There's.
Extend a hand.
I
Boom.
stand under her.
Boom. Everybody gathers around Eris just in case. There's a like ha 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 ha. Eris's eyes flow back into her head. It's almost like one of those like weird like eyes fluttering back in the back of her head. Eris, you simultaneously start body jumping for all the available mimics that are on the island of Neverland.
Oh God.
You just start going from like it starts slow. I mean, it's like you're a little like you're another one of those bird nests, and then you're this bear in the forest, and then you're this treasure chest that's hidden as, and you see a couple of kids like come around the corner and like point at this treasure chest, and then you see once again it's a tree, and then it's a shipwreck, and then it keeps flipping back and forth, objects, 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 and then you're in a tavern. And you're drinking, and you're seeing through the eyes of someone who's holding a mug and is going like this. And then you're looking through the eyes of somebody on a pirate ship who's leaned forward and looking at their hand like this, and just sort of like as you flip into their eyes, they look off in the distance as if they're looking back at the island that they just left. And these images go by faster and faster and faster and faster as all these images flash through your mind of random objects until you get to the very end where it's person, 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 person. And then you're in the camp. You're in the Furbolg encampment. You're in the glade looking at all the Furbolgs just sort of sitting down and eating and talking and things of that sort. And then the last image that you see is the changeling community. You look down at a blue shirt that's there, and the eyes sort of look up, and you're greeted to this picture-in-picture of 100, maybe more, different images of all of these sites looking up and straight forward, and you just see the image of all of them, and then your connection is cut.
Hooked into the Matrix.
Eris instinctively floats down. Like it's something out of your control. It's like as your eyes start to come back into your head and you float back down to the ground.
I grab her.
So what we got?
They're everywhere.
There's no possible way to round
They're
them up.
everywhere.
Like off down?
Well, do we just have to find all the treasure chests and the bird nests and things like that, and just figure out whether and then just bam.
No, these things are infesting. This is a parasite.
This is a parasite.
I'm sorry, I don't.
The animals begin to bristle.
I'm sorry, I think reasoning's done.
Well,
I don't
we
think
don't
this thing
know
can.
that it was
It's
in
going to keep
people.
making more.
She hasn't said that
She
yet.
hasn't said that. We don't know that it was in people.
Sorry, just for the good of the island, we have to stop this before more get made.
I don't know who we can trust anymore.
Did you see any of us?
No.
All right.
Not that I'm aware of.
Give me a D20 and add your intelligence to that. Actually, know what? Your spellcasting is charisma as a sorcerer. You tap into the religious side of it. Give me a charisma check as you tap into the magic inherent in your soul. If you give me a surge of wild magic, I'll let you do this roll at advantage.
I will.
Quick. And this might be pushing it. So this is me kind of grasping at straws.
Hang on. Let me finish this first, and then we'll
12.
12. Give me a D100.
32.
Go ahead, Ron.
I think everyone knows that the most common, like, form of a mimic might be like the treasure chest, right? And being piratey, Holly would know a little bit about mimic.
They're
Do
not.
I? Huh?
Oh, sorry. I didn't.
You would know a little bit about mimics.
Would I know anything about other like humanoid forms of
No.
mimics? Okay. There's a stretch.
I thought you were talking out loud. That's why I was like.
32. You jerk. You go, crap, I want to know about this. And you twist. Your Eris passes out. Eris just goes, and like she gasps, like Eris' mouth goes open, eyes go wide, and you watch as her soul leaves her body. Like blue light, ghostly light, like Eris' soul is just gone. It pushes upward, and as it does, Eris is projected to the astral plane. The plane that overlooks everything, where you look into the astral plane itself, and as you do, you are floating above your body, looking down at all your friends, and you see psychic tethers reaching out from this creature to all points of Neverland, but one long cord reaching up past all of these projections, and in your astral plane self, you just feel yourself instinctively drawn to this cord, and as you go up and up and up and up, it's almost like you're going up and up and up. There's like a landmass. You're worried you're going to crash into it, and you go up and up through the landmass, and you are in this odd, dark place. Like the sickness is all around you. The tired is everywhere. It's flowing off of trees and things like that. And the largest creature you've ever seen in your entire life is standing there, and this leash is connecting straight into this thing's chest. And you just in ghostly form are floating above and staring at this thing. This thing has long hair with like odd like ships. Look big enough to like fit in the thing's hair and floating around. Its eyes have this dark fire in them, and as you float above and start looking at this thing, the leash connecting it to this monstrosity, it looks over to where you are. No. And Eris goes, floats back down. Back in her chest, back in her body, her soul, you see it slammed down and slammed back into her body.
Holy crap.
What happened?
Just real quick, while other things are happening, can I use my hunter sense to see if this thing has any sort of damage, immunities, resistances, or vulnerabilities?
Eris, you are fine. You have your faculties about you, but that is the image that you are greeted to when you rolled a 32, which is projecting your body into the astral plane to see beyond.
You saw beyond.
Of all the things you could have rolled, you are transported to the astral plane until the end of your next turn.
What happened?
What is this ability called?
Hunter sense.
Okay.
You just tell us everything? Yeah.
While
What I saw.
That sounds like.
While she's sharing all of this, you guys watch as Slowpoke is intently studying this creature. He's gone from like the time of talking is over, and you notice this look in his eyes as he starts to get. He starts to study this thing a little bit more. I can't find Hunter Sense. Give me a second to look up this thing. Yeah, so what would you like to do, knowing the information that you have just been shared?
Who, us? I mean, the information I'm about to get from you, or the information from Hillary?
That sounds
what would I?
This is a spell.
Yes.
Okay, so there is a big difference for, like, I start studying it to...
Well,
I start casting verbal, somatic, and material
know.
components.
It doesn't really say on here that I do that, though.
Spell grants you supernatural senses. You can either gain only benefit from one of these supernatural abilities. When the spell is in effect, you either have advantage on perception and passive perception checks. In certain instances, you were able to use your sense to perform supernatural feats, such as sighting an enemy, movement a mile away, tracking by scent, or hearing a distinct sound.
Okay, I'm not...
It's not a spell, it's just a monster slayer ability.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I looked up for. This is a monster...
Slayer ability.
Okay. Stand by.
But that sounds like what me and Clip heard when we didn't get a.
This is the third level hunters, the third level rangers.
Got it. Thank you. Okay, so you learn that this thing is immune to bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing damage from non-magical items. It's all right, breathe. It is also resistant to psychic damage. It has no vulnerabilities of which you can see.
Great. Okay. So I pull out Fortunato's special surprise.
Oh, God.
And I aim it at this thing.
Do we see this? We see this.
All
right?
of you,
We
all,
see this. I'm going to try to stop it.
all of you see Slowpoke studying this thing, and as Eris comes to, and as she finishes explaining all of this, the mass is just sort of like all the animals are still turned around and looking at you, and you guys watch as Slowpoke slowly takes out an arrow.
I stand in front of his bow.
So I step to the side.
I step to the side.
This thing's...
And that is your turn.
This thing can still hear us, right?
Yes.
Because of tongues, it can understand everything that you all are saying without a physical connection. Unless the spell is dropped.
Right. But he's going to have to talk to me about that first, before I just drop it.
Where's your thoughts at, man? Yeah, and you were pointing an arrow at it, so.
Oh, well, now it knows.
I think it already knew.
I suspect it can see.
This thing's the worst.
Said the one resorting to violence.
It has things everywhere. Like, it's
Okay.
gonna just keep making more. Like, we have to stop it as soon as possible, or else more and more and more will come.
That's why we
And
made
the
a plan. We made a plan for a reason.
And
Rovar goes, what if we feed it?
That's
Feed
what
it.
I'm saying. Like, can we teach it to farm? Does it need to be animals? Can we just teach it?
I mean, there's a plethora of pirates on this island.
I
Well,
don't...
That's a better idea.
We're not going to sacrifice a thing for another thing.
Why?
Are we gonna teach it to pick out pirates? How do we know it's not gonna grab Cal or me? I mean, how will it know?
I think we need to send it home. It's not home. It
We
needs
need to
go
send it
home.
away.
We need to send it home, but that doesn't mean shooting arrows at it.
We need...
You also
Does-
don't want to shoot that one at it. Trust me.
Especially when
You put the arrow back. Eris?
One of its children is your friend.
You said it's a Rovar? Rovar instinctively wants to bolt. This is not a predator-prey situation. This is an infiltration.
This
This
is
thing-
this is bigger than what we're seeing right here.
This
It-
is bigger than what we can handle on our own right now.
If it can see through its children, what's seen through it? What's that thing that you saw connected to it?
We have to come back.
Something.
We have to come back.
This is a pawn of whatever that is. And it's gonna make more, and those things are gonna cause problems for us. We can't wait on this.
Then
We
if we
can't
listen, if we kill this now, that thing still exists.
And it adds one less thing to use
Hear
against
everything,
us.
everything we're saying.
I think with that, the tentacles are starting to slowly snake their way across the floor, and with that, I need everybody to go ahead and give me a dexterity. Actually, no. This thing is going to try to use one of its abilities, and as it does, it sends out this guttural scream from every animal in this place. Every animal in this place opens its mouth and lets loose with a noise, and this would be the most terrifying thing in the entire world. However, the magic of the furbolgs and the hero's feast takes hold. You find yourselves planted to the ground, and you are not frightened. You are immune to being feared. But after that, when you guys are contemplating whether we should kill this thing out loud, I need everybody to go ahead and roll initiative because this is kicking off.
I think it just became hostile.
Not 20.
No.
So that's a 22.
Okay, give me a second, guys. We're going to go 20 to 25. 22, Eris?
Plus initiative is 23.
23.
20 total.
Okay, so we go Dez, Eris, Fortunato. Awesome. Okay. 20 to 15.
18.
Oh.
Who wants to go first?
Oh, you can go first.
What'd you got?
I rolled a 7.
10, now go.
Okay. Cal, Thistle, 3.
Bring up the rear. The angry barbarian. A little tired.
She is not okay. On a scale from 1 to 10, she is a negative 5.
I expected
You're also a 3?
Swinging.
Oh, she was about to.
I
She was
expected
this
you to be
close.
the one.
Who wants to go first? Clip or Slowpoke?
You can go first.
Slowpoke.
You can go.
You can go.
You're doing great, sweetie.
I don't think we're going to need this.
Oh gosh.
That's scary.
No, I don't think we're going to need this.
Oh boy.
Until we actually all die.
Until we do.
All right. Okay, gang. The creature is going to go first.
Oh, son of a...
With its initiative rolling real high. It's big and massive. Okay. It's going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Oh, buddy. It's going to send a tentacle that's crawling around the ground towards Rovar. And this thing's going to try to leash out at his foot. Rovar. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. How many of you? There's 7. I think Hero's Feast is 7. He didn't get a chance to have Hero's Feast here. I think it was just you guys. So he's not going to get the advantage on these throws like you guys. Okay. You see this odd look come over Rovar's head as this tentacle lashes around his foot. It's a thin tentacle, but he goes a little slack. And as he looks over at you all, with his turn, his eyes are going this like...
Up to 12 creatures, Hero's Feast.
12 creatures?
Yep.
Rovar's in then. Let's see if he makes that save. Yep, he does. Well done. With that, Rovar is able to push back. He gives this like yell, and you see some of the spores on his back come to life. The mushrooms alight, and you guys are surrounded by this cloud of spores that just sort of encircles. He takes a deep breath in, and Rovar gets a little sturdier. Like his muscles pop a little bit as you see like the spores have awakened on his back and are surrounding him. The tentacle, as it reaches out, the spores come to life, and you see that particular tentacle like wither and fade away as it touches him. And he goes, "My friend's got my back. Don't you touch me." And that's Rovar's turn. Dez.
Oh gosh. There's no reason I can like tweak a key point feature, is there?
I'm all about that tweaking.
You're all about that tweaking? I'm facing his arrow right now, his drawn arrow, right?
Yeah. It's his surprise special. But you're facing his arrow, and unless he put the bow down, would you have put the bow down? No. You're standing in front of him, and you. Yeah. I will say, because I don't want this arrow. I will say when he was like, "Don't fire, but don't fire that one." Slowpoke would have instinctively changed it out, so it's just a regular arrow.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can I just throw it? Can I throw my arrow?
You're not gonna catch an arrow in midair. You're just gonna be like, "I need to borrow this." Yeet!
Yeah.
Yeah.
Please burn a key point and do that.
Yes, you may. Absolutely, you can. I'm all about
and
this.
It's with proficiency.
Yeah.
So
make a ranged attack as she goes, "I'm gonna take this and flick it outward." Eris, you are up next,
All right, hang
followed
on.
by Fortunato.
That'll be.
Are we getting advantage? What was that? Whatever you get.
It landed on the
Wisdom saving
Wisdom
throws.
saving throws.
And we can't fight
Wisdom saving throws are the throw you were going to
Alright,
make as this thing tries to take over your mind.
That'll be 8 points to wherever I just yeeted it.
It is a large mass, and this AC is small because it is like the majority of the cavern. It is a big mass of
Nice.
thing. You see this arrow go flying through the air, and there is a screech that echoes outward that you can all understand as you are able to still understand this language, and you just hear the word "why."
Put down my friend!
Okay. That's your turn, Dez. Eris, you're up next.
Yeah, me too.
Oh, I don't wanna. I literally don't.
Okay.
We're not. I want to leave. There's no sense
Eris,
in us doing this.
you
right now.
just
I'm
you see
out.
Eris
I'm
like
sorry.
Eris
We
like
don't-
takes off back towards the tunnel, like leaving leaving
cannot
behind
do
and
this
stuff
on
like
our
that.
own.
Yeah. Okay. Eris takes off running. I would say with your movement and your dash, you are able to start making your like crawling through that tunnel. You guys did not venture far out from where the tunnel was. Eris starts making her way through the tunnel.
Because we have
Fortunato.
to go get more people.
I'm gonna cast Blur on myself.
Okay. Advantages attacks against you are going to be at disadvantage for a period of time, correct?
Yep.
Yep. Cal.
He's going to use his 30 feet of movement to get back, just back up a little bit.
You back up to the wall.
Back up to the wall.
You don't start crawling through the tunnel. All right. It is the creature's turn again.
He's just gonna brandish the rapier and just wait and just
2,
hold
3,
action.
4, 5. Thistle, you're there, right?
Yes.
Thistle, give me a wisdom saving throw at advantage, please, as another tentacle stakes around the ground and makes its way towards you.
17 plus that is a 24.
Okay, 24. Yep, you managed to stop. Cal, did you want to do anything with your action here?
I was gonna hold.
What are you holding?
Fairy fire if it started coming at more of us.
Okay.
But I also wanted to bonus action inspire somebody.
Give me an go ahead and inspire somebody.
So, with the sword drawn and kind of like Captain-esque now, you're looking over to Slowpoke because he's the one that kind of went after it. Do it or do not. I don't care which one right now, but make it or make it happen. Is this your plan? We do this or we don't.
You feel as if the captain's hat has been placed upon your head a little bit tighter, as the weight of leadership adds an inspiration to your shoulders. So you have a D8. D8 to use as you see fit for the next bit of time. That was the creature's turn. It does make another attack if you want to let loose with fairy fire.
Yeah.
What's the range? This thing is 50 feet away.
It's fairy fire, 60 feet.
60 feet. Yep. It makes a dexterity saving throw.
18.
With a nat 20, it manages to use its abilities to sort of push against the far wall, and that fairy fire just falls short a little bit. But it does not affect, and it does not affect any of the animals.
Okay.
That is your turn, Cal. That was the creature's turn. Thistle.
I'm using my bonus action to cast Shield of Faith on myself.
Shield of Faith.
And I'm going to make a dash action, because that's my full action plus my movement, right?
Correct.
I'm going to make a dash action towards the cave.
You're going in the tunnel as well.
Yeah,
Okay.
the tunnel.
Slowpoke.
Firing at this thing.
Okay.
I'm going to use sharpshooter.
Okay.
So that'll be 22.
22 hits. Roll damage. Don't forget to add that plus 10 to damage.
Yep. Oh, I forgot to save the thing. So I'm going to put that dice down.
That's okay. I understand what you're going to do. Hunter's Mark or
Yeah,
like.
Slayer's
Yep.
Spray.
Yep.
16.
16 to the mass itself. With a 16, there is another shiver between the two arrows that have been sent at this thing. There is another scream from the animals as the row closest to where you are, the tentacles release and the animals just like start pivoting their heads. and looking around the area, like the row of animals close to there.
Fire again a sharpshooter.
What type of animals?
There's some sheep. It looks like a dog. It looks like there's that baby wolf that you saw. Like the latest one is amidst this clump of like 10 of them that just all of a sudden are released and start like looking around the area as Rovar gets down on his knees and starts whispering and just starts like talking, like whispering, out loud. Give me another attack roll.
So that'll be 22.
22 hits as well. Don't forget to add that plus 10.
20.
Another row of like 8 of them as it goes like as the tentacles like retract backward with these punches, with these hits against it.
And as I let go, I'm just looking at everyone else and saying, I'm not leaving.
At this point, unfortunately, Eris is too far gone to hear this. Clip is still there.
I'm 60 feet.
You're still gone. You're far gone to hear this. You're crawling in the tunnel. Fortunato, you cast Blur, and did you leave?
Nope.
Was it a tunnel? It was a closed-in tunnel.
It was
so
a closed-in tunnel that you guys all were like crawling through, like to get through. Like you were on your hands and knees,
Okay.
like.
All right.
And as these animals are released, Rovar, like I said before, is on his hands and knees, and he's trying to whisper to corral them and talk to them a little bit. Slowpoke, that is your turn. Clip.
I'm gonna look at Dez.
Okay.
You're fast. Get help. And I'm gonna run forward and hit it.
Yeah.
Whatever, tentacle, whatever I can hit.
Okay, yeah, there's tentacles all over the place. They're attached to animals. Are you picking one in particular, or are you just running towards the mass down the way?
I would run toward the mass.
Okay. It's 50 feet away, so you could use your movement and your dash to get up close to it and then attack on your next turn, unless you have some other way.
Sure, there's a tentacle within.
I'm 40. My speed's 40 feet.
Cool. You
Can
could
I
run
use a
40.
bonus action to get the rush? I
No,
can't?
not as a unfortunately not as a barbarian.
Okay, understandable. Yeah.
You could use an action to activate fly, your spell in your Neverheart necklace, and then based on the flying speed and just fly in that direction. But you're gonna have to get creative in order to get to this thing as quickly as you can.
Yeah, there's not very much creativity to it right now. I'm just running as fast as possible.
Cool. So your arm drawn. It's the image of of Clip freaking out, running, screaming with this thing in her hand as she goes screaming, running towards it. That is her turn. The creature goes again with a third turn. This time it's going to start pulling the animals that are not released back. Forming a wall, like a wall, almost as if it's retracting the tentacles, and they all start taking steps forward as it's bringing them back towards the mass itself. The center pathway is still open, but it's forming a meat shield, for lack of a better term, for some of these big attacks. It's almost like it's pulling them in closer. That is what it's going to do with that turn. Des.
Do you think I could reach in and grab another arrow?
It gets a little when he had it knocked. I'm all about it.
Yeah.
Reaching into his pack, like we're gonna have to get into something weird. As he's now in battle mode, and he has them at a point where he can do that.
Unless he's getting one ready, then.
If we want to down the line come up with a quiver of arrows that you could just be like wee wee wee, like you know, that's fine. But I'm less likely to allow this.
No, I got you. Then could I do, I have a hand dart that I think I can throw that is poisoned right now, so I'm gonna go ahead and throw that at it. So, roll. That is a 19 to hit.
19 hits.
Alright, then that would be, hang on, 2 plus, oh, and the poison for it, it's a con save 14.
Okay.
Yeah.
you see the poison dart hit it, and a small patch of it starts to turn a black color,
Okay,
as if the poison is leaking in, but you don't know how effective it is against it.
That would be 10, so that'll deal out 1 per turn, I think.
Okay.
And then I'm gonna use my bonus action.
It would be 4 points of damage from the dart itself, and then 8 poison.
4 piercing damage.
Wait, that's a 2?
No, hang on.
That's a +3.
5 plus 3. Sorry, I forgot to add
Okay.
+3. So 5 plus.
And these
8.
darts are not magical in any way.
No.
Got it. Okay.
5 plus 8 poison damage.
Got it.
And then I'm gonna use my bonus action to do Step of the Wind and dash.
Okay. As you start running, Rovar screams out on his turn and just goes, "We are not equipped to handle this." He screams out to the two of you, like his voice echoing throughout the cavern, and he looks at you and he goes, "We are not equipped. We will lose them." And he, as he says that, he turns back to the animals, and you hear him whispering. And as he does, there's little traces of arcane energy in his whispers, and the animals line up in an orderly fashion and start making their way out of the cave, following behind you. Since you were the last one to start running through, like you turn around, you're like, "We made it, sheep!" Like as you see, as you see, just a line of
sheep,
yeah, like Des sheep, as they just start like following behind, and just an orderly, like the animals are prepped and prepared. He tries to hold a hand up to you, Des, and implore you not to go. And as you're running, should you choose to heed his words, he turns and just starts like, he looks up at the sky, he looks at the ground, and he just starts taking off after Clip. Like he's running to catch up to her before she gets to the thing. Okay? That's Rovar's turn. Eris, you're on the other side at this point with enough movement, and like Thistle looks way too happy to be crawling through this little cave, because as you take a little peek behind her, you see that Thistle is Dr. Doolittle. She's got a line of animals that are just all sort of lined up, and like I would say, even as she starts to come through, like you just scoop up the babies. Right. You're like, we got to get the animals out, and out the path.
There were furbolgs that were still in this area trying to reinforce.
They said that they were going to send a contingent
Right.
to work, but it wasn't going to be the first one. You could poke your head out and try to, yeah.
I'm looking for those, not the ones at the camp.
With your movement, I'm going to be generous here and say you're able to stick your head out, and sure enough, you see 3 or 4 of them. What do you yell to them?
Oh, God. Heckin'. We're gonna need help. Don't get it yet. That's
How dare you
there's
make us
a mimic
RP
in the
RP.
camp. I don't know.
We're going to need help. Don't
Yeah.
get help yet.
Yeah.
They all stop what
That's
they're
it.
doing, and they start yelling at each other, and they start gathering around the cave entrance for the animals that are about to come out. Fortunato, you're blurred. You see the scene before you playing out as Rovar is chasing after Clip, and Dez is moving as well, but I don't know if she's responding to Rovar's words or not.
I mean, I already pretty much did 80 feet of movement.
Yeah, so she's up and
Yeah.
touching this thing. So when I say Rovar's chasing Clip, he's chasing Clip and
I'm running out.
you're running out.
I'm running out.
Yeah.
Okay, great, awesome. You're running out. The only one that's running is
I'm
Clip.
heeding what she said and getting help.
Cool.
I'm playing get help.
Then you were like, we need to get help, and Dez is like, hi, and you're like, Dez, we need to get help. I think the two of you look down at the cave entrance, and Thistle's just like rolling and playing with the animals, and like this is a great day. Like we have all these animals. So you guys are getting help from the furbolgs, and facilitating the animals running through.
I'm not facilitating the animals. I'm booking it to.
You're gonna run back to the camp.
To the furball. Yeah.
Got it, as fast as you can. Okay, nope, that's all right. We play this out. Fortunato, what are you doing?
I'm going to use my free action to mind link with it for just a split second to say, I'm so sorry, I didn't want this. And then I'm going to book it out.
As you go, I'm so sorry, I didn't want this, and you mind link with it, you are greeted to an image of this woman wearing a plain brown dress. Looks to be like a gingham gown, and she turns around and she looks at you, and her features seem to be made up of the features of the party. You notice like distinctive features, like she's got Eris's eyes. She's kind of built very tall, like Clip. You notice that her hand has a hook on it, and she has the same sort of colored hair. She's got a bow strapped to her back. As she turns around to look at you, and she says, "This is a declaration of war. You understand that?"
I understand exactly what he did, and I'm so sorry. I didn't want this. I tried to stop them.
Okay. And she looks at you. And you just keep standing there, like, having this conversation. Fortunato, eyes go blank. He doesn't have a tentacle wrapped around him, but his eyes go that same milky white as he stands in the space staring off at her. You're going to stay there,
Yep.
linked. What is it you want?
I want to find a peaceful resolution. There's no reason for anybody to fight. There's got to be an answer.
All right. We'll get to their turn. It is their turn. Give me a persuasion check, Fortunato.
18.
Very well. Stay. Explain.
Okay.
You guys watch as Fortunato's eyes are still that milky white color, and he just begins to... Anybody that's still in the cavern, not you, not you, not you.
It's just us three.
It's just you three, and with Rovar running forward. You two watch as Fortunato starts taking steps toward that mass. Like, just walking. Just casually, like, not running, he doesn't have any weapons drawn, he just starts walking forward.
Fortunato.
Creature's turn. Cow.
Cal's gonna make his way back up to where Slowpoke is at. He's on the retreat now, but Slowpoke's part of the crew. He's gotta make sure he makes it out.
Sure.
So he's not gonna attack the thing. But if a tentacle goes up, he's gonna take a slash at it just as defensively.
Right now, all the tentacles don't seem to be waving. Like, some of them that look like they were shooting forward. The minute Fortunato starts walking forward towards this thing, the tentacles that were flying forward stop and fall. So there's no aggressive movement that is being done. Clip is still running as fast as she can towards this thing with axe drawn. Yeah. Okay.
So that's really all he's gonna do is just kind of prep for the worst, hope for the best in this case. He knows he's outgunned, but he made a commitment to
He's
stay.
doing this. Thistle.
Okay, so, yeah, I don't know any of this is going on.
No, you don't.
So so there's an open hole into the ground? Like, she's flying down an open hole into the ground?
So,
like, from the cave?
So,
'Cause it sounded
tunnel.
like she was flying out.
Tunnel,
up.
passageway that leads up. I just imagine she's bypassing the little passage and just sort of booking.
Okay.
You could walk up this small incline through the cave out and into the open air, but I just imagined it like almost
Okay,
like
I'm
a
gonna
carved
keep-
into the
Keep
rock.
running now. Another 60 feet of movement. If I take a dash action, does that get me out of the tunnel?
Yes, it does. It gets you right to the lip of the tunnel. You see the two of them speaking to furbolgs, and some of the furbolgs are gathering around. They don't know what they're gathering, and one of them takes off running back to the camp.
Okay.
But it takes you right to the lip.
So then,
That's your action
I'm
and your
going to-
movement.
Yeah, and I'm gonna turn around and I'm gonna wait to see if I see the other ones coming out after.
Wow, you just drank caffeine, buddy.
Oh, no.
Well done, too. You're gonna be up all night. Hi, boo boo. Thanks, bud. All right. Cool. That is your turn, Thistles. Slowpoke.
So it dropped all its tentacles.
The tentacles that were racing towards you all, it has stopped, and Fortunato is moving forward.
The animals are still tied up.
A lot of them are. I'm so sorry. It's not a win. There's a bad guy and a good guy, and then you like this is meant to be to challenge and to be morally gray. So like
I'm leaving, but I'm gonna take my 2 last shots at it while I'm leaving.
Okay.
First one misses, unless a 10 hits.
10 does not hit. Are these at sharpshooter?
This one wasn't.
Yeah. Okay.
No, they both miss. That one was a nat 1, by the way.
Okay. Yeah. The arrow just wings past as it does. And as you wait, you turn, you look. Like Hal is standing there. You're standing there, and then you just go start moving through the tunnel.
Yeah.
Okay. So Slowpoke is moving his way out. Creature.
No, actually, as I'm about to leave, I look at Cal and Clip and say, "We will come back. Let's go."
Clip can't hear you. Clip is gone, but you look at Cal. Yeah.
I'll make sure she gets out.
Cal. Yeah. Actually, Clip, I'm gonna let you go. As you use your movement to catch up to this thing, Rovar's screaming out like Clip, but your axe is drawn and you're at the fleshy mass of this.
The rage.
Rage is a bonus action.
Mhm.
Yep.
Reckless attack.
Reckless attack. Give it to me.
24 to hit.
24 hits. Roll damage.
16.
8 psychic.
Cool.
And I scream, "Let go of my family."
Yep. Give me an intimidation check.
Disadvantage because I have bags under my eyes. Can I use my DM inspiration for this?
Yeah, you certainly can.
What is DM inspiration against that advantage?
I just had advantage. So it'll be a straight roll then.
Okay, not bad. That's gonna be hard 20.
With a scream that issues forth, you guys hear it. It echoes throughout the entire cave as Clip goes like, "Let go of my family!" And you see, you hear as like some of the animals almost look like shocked out of the slumber that they're in. The ones closest to her, you don't know what it is this like wave of magical energy that's never been a part of Clip before, like echoes forth, and as it does, all of the animals like shake a little bit and come out of their stupor and like start to look around and then go slack back to being here. Another row is let go from the back as they are shaken out of their stupor, but before the tentacles are able to lash a hold, that wave of energy that issues forth from Clip just reverberates through the entire cave, and these animals look confused and they're like, they start looking around, and Rovar is unfortunately not near them now. He's catching up to where Clip is, but you just see these animals like look about them like, what the fuck? Like they just don't like they don't. Oh no! They have that look, but really the sound they're making is like they just they're confused as to what has happened. But everybody in the cave hears this like reverberation from Clip. This like this soul punch. Okay, that is Clip's turn. Now the creature goes. As you take this damage, this psychic damage, the woman in the space also is rocked backward and looks down at her side as she looks at a gash on her side and puts a hand to it and lifts it up. And as she does, it's this black ichor. And she's looking at it and she goes, "What is this?"
Looks probably like blood.
Why?
She's fighting for her family. You have her family. Much like I assume you would fight for yours.
Yes. Yes. I cannot sacrifice them. She just sort of nods her head in a dark understanding. Yeah. Okay. That is her turn. Des.
I'm gonna keep running until I get to the camp.
Alright.
How far away is the camp?
The camp is a good distance away. It's a long walk. You could do another step of the wind. I'd say you'd be there at another like 2 to 3 rounds.
Oof. Yeah, I'm not sure because she would know the combat would be continuing.
It depends on what her priority is. If it's getting help or doing that. So as you make your way towards the camp as fast as you can.
Yeah.
Eris.
I'm gonna fly towards the camp. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep, you're flying towards the camp as fast as you can. Fortunato, you continue to move forward into the space. I'd say with your movement and your dash action connected to this thing, Clip, as you're wailing away, Rovar comes up to you and he puts 2 hands on your shoulder and he goes, "You gotta stop. You gotta stop, but now's not the time." And he will ready a spell. Okay. Fortunato, as you get close to this thing, the creature opens. Like the skin peels back into almost what looks like an inky black chamber. And Clip, you're standing there. Rovar, you're standing there, and you two look in shock as Fortunato turns to look at you, and his eyes are that white color that you recognize as a link. And the creature opens up, and Fortunato nods ahead in your direction and steps forward into the darkness. I'm going to go ahead and ask you to leave the room. You guys are officially out of combat, if you so choose. If you would like to keep wailing away at this thing, you can. But for the time being, you are out of combat. It is not being aggressive towards you. I do need to know what happens here. Like, Cal, you're standing there and you're seeing all of this, but you're a ways away. You're holding guard at the entrance to the cave.
I would like to kind of cut the distance a little bit. And
you go halfway.
I go halfway. If it's not being, I'm going to put the rapier away.
Okay.
Put the hook away and just watch.
Yeah.
Because this is getting out of hand.
Rovar looks at you.
Hand. Sorry.
If they die, they don't come back.
If you die, they definitely don't. A wise man once said, "The needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few."
I think it's time.
Yeah, he will walk where the two of you are, taking Clip in hand, making sure that people leave the chamber and make their way out. As he does, he grabs them both by the hand, and there is a dimension door. There is a, and you.
Before they leave, I know. Is there in this body or in this meat wall? Are there any wolves?
Are there any wolves?
Yes.
The small baby one has already been let loose, but there's one kind of near the back there. It looks like a mother and looks like an older, like an alpha, like 2 or 3 rows up.
Is the tongue smell still active? That's the question.
Not with her gone.
He'll say it just because hopefully it'll come, because it's the whole reason we came down here. And if we leave empty-handed, Cal's gonna feel like a failure. You took one of ours. Let the wolves go. You can keep the rest.
You hear, "She took no one," as Fortunato's voice issues forth from the room. And the row of wolves are released.
I appreciate it.
Run.
Booking out.
You all leave the small cave, making your way back to the surface, where you are greeted by a cadre of furbolgs who are sort of standing at the ready. Rovar begins speaking to them in an odd language that sounds like the brushing of leaves through the trees and dirt on the wind, and it's this odd sound of like natural sounds, the rushing of water. You recognize this because your people have worked with them as a form of druidic speech that the circle utilizes. You are all brought back to the camp where your wounds are attended to, and you have, I would say, all in total, there's 15 to 16 animals that are being brought to the camp. They're malnourished. Some of these animals that are not used to being around people are being fed and gladly. It's like animals in a natural disaster, how like the person holds out a cup of water and they just start instinctively drinking from the cup. Like they all start experiencing this and you start seeing the rehabilitation process as the furbolgs in the area all seem to be banding together, casting cure wounds, and taking care of the animals that have been let go.
I point Clip specifically to the wolves that have come out of the cave.
Yeah.
Are any of them from my pack?
Yeah. The alpha. You recognize immediately, and the alpha walks forward and puts his head down and begins to like lick your hand in a very like sort of subservient.
I just hold them.
Yeah.
And she just cries.
Yeah. Find yourselves back at the camp. It's still midday. Only an hour has gone by since you made your way to the camp. Fortunato has not joined you all. I think Cal would share, Rovar and Clip would share what happened with Fortunato walking in to the beast. As you are in the camp, as you all begin to rest or talk about the events of the day.
I'm keeping my eyes out on the verbal party, make sure there's not. If he's speaking Druidic, one that doesn't look like he's understanding, one that's
They all understand.
Or one that's looking rather shifty now that his mother's been attacked.
Perception check.
Yeah, what I remember.
You did not look through. You looked and you
first-person
saw
view.
through his eyes, and so you would be like looking for furry hands.
I didn't know if there was, because they were all different kinds.
Yeah.
This one happened to have a freckle.
He had a ring that says "not a real fur."
So you mentioned one with like flowers, mud.
Yeah.
So.
I will say, once again, intelligence check. At advantage if you give me a surge of wild magic.
It was a 19 on perception.
19 on perception.
He's just.
Buddy, you're looking around and like it if anything, they start darting their eyes back.
Has she told us all of this stuff? Has she told us everything she experienced?
All I said, the only thing that y'all know that I said was I looked at Rovar, I said one of them.
She says one of her children is here in the camp.
Did you tell us about?
Furry ship.
Did you tell us?
Beardy ship.
No. I can see it. Okay. All right. I can go to the ethereal plane.
What?
I thought we did talk about beardy ship man.
No. Oh wait, yes, that part.
She did say about beardy ship man.
Okay,
but I didn't specify.
But you went to another place to see it,
yes,
right?
Yeah, so you know that.
She had an out of body experience.
Okay,
She just went boom.
While she's doing that, because I know that she's looking for this furbolg, I'm gonna cast blink, because that sends me to the ethereal plane.
It does. You
It
briefly.
sends me to a different place. I wouldn't know for sure.
You got to
that
roll
it
that
would work.
d20. Are you taking it at advantage?
No.
Good.
No.
All right.
No.
You feel that magic sort of gather around as that shoulder hand. You feel that like squeeze on your shoulder, but you kind of brush it off.
11.
It's my version of
I
wild
know,
magic.
I
I can do
know.
whatever I want. I'm the DM. Yeah.
love it though.
Yeah. Great. Great. I'm not even gonna make you make animal handling. I think after the alpha like cuddles up to you, there's this odd like, and you turn around and all of the wolves are like, "Can we get in on this?" And you're like, "Cuddle puddle," and You think the wolves are eating Clip for a second. Everybody like braces, but then they're just all like gathered on top, and like she's sitting there at one point, and she's got like 2 wolves on one shoulder, like one laying in her lap, and the baby is sitting on top of her head, just sort of like looking around the area. But she's got this like little cuddle puddle there.
I got 11.
No, it's hard. You can't. There's nothing that there. So Blink, you have to roll to see if you flip over into the plane, right?
I roll a d20 at the end of each of your turns for the duration of the spell, because the spell lasts for 1 minute.
Cool. So she closes her
On
eyes.
a roll of 11 or higher, I vanish.
Give me a d20.
So, but technically, I mean, if we're going to go with the nitty gritty of the spell, technically I could roll this 10 times, and I just have to get 11 or higher one of those 10 times.
Right.
But you're
First
only
one's a 6.
Okay.
Second one's a 15.
But you're only in the ethereal plane for like.
So, I appear in the ethereal plane at the start of my next turn. I return to an occupied space of my choice.
She's only there for like a few
6 seconds.
6 seconds. So she goes, it looks like she's got to poop. Like Thistle's made this face before, and she's even doing the and you're like, and like Des, I think you walk over and you're like, you need to take your pants off first. you're gonna poop your pants. And like she goes, no, ooh, blink. And then she just she blinks out. The space is there. You see everybody in the ethereal plane except dude in the back, like 3 or 4 rows back. He's talking with some of the other furbolgs. He's got a thin gold filament that's wrapped around his neck.
Is he within 10 feet of me?
He is not.
Okay, but I'm going to reappear in an occupied space 10 feet closer.
You're like, gotcha! And you come back out.
Can I keep rolling and
Yep.
do that like cat thing where it's like boom, boom, boom?
You are the YouTube sensation Ninja Cat, where like you're like down like this, and then the camera moves, and you're back on this side.
The next one hits 2. The next one's 18.
You get a little,
Next one's 15.
a little closer again.
Next one's 15.
Like right there, like right up on it. Like as you do, you manifest in that little group. You like kind of blink out, and they all jump back and look, and they turn. They're like, "Hello, little one."
You don't belong.
Well, Cal's gonna walk up to it at that point. You got something?
It's this one.
You guys saw Thistle occasionally like until she gets over, and she's like, they all turn and look at him, and they all laugh, and he turns and.
This one's connected to that the big thing.
They all start looking for a connection, and he lifts his feet up, and he like puts his hands in the air, and.
Who can see in the other place? She probably wouldn't have a word for the ethereal plane, but like the other place, the place that's not here but next to here.
Spirit world.
Yes.
Are you okay, little one? Did you hit your head
No.
during the battle? Or?
No, this one is connected to the thing down below, the big thing.
Oh God, she's infected.
I'm not.
Stab him.
Okay.
Just at that point, like make it a nick on his arm to show
He's
black
the one
ichor.
that said that, right?
Yeah, he says she's infected. The other furbolgs turn around and they put their hands up, and
Oh
as
my God.
they put their hands up, he
just
he
lashes
goes
him against the arm.
He just cuts this thing in the arm. And you guys watch as you're like, what is she doing, Thistle? And then Cal out of nowhere takes his hook and just goes and drags it along the arm of this thing.
She said a lot of things that pisses me off, but this makes sense.
No.
The furball takes a step back, and the other ones instinctively all like prepare spells to start casting on Cal. Like Cal's about to be obliterated into the space until this thing turns around, and as it looks, its eyes are replaced with that same white, milky film, and you see the blood flowing from it, not red, but black.
You told me to run.
Run.
You told me to run. Run out of the camp. I know you can hear me. Get out of the camp.
We've already learned what we need to learn.
Where's my friend?
Who?
I want my friend back.
The voice. The new one.
Yes, I want my friend back.
He does not wish to come back.
Then he can tell that to me himself.
He's right. There's still conversations to be had, Thistle. I'm sorry.
Can I see the white eyes from where I'm standing?
Yeah, all of you are gathered around, and I think
yeah.
the furbolgs are taking steps back
Oh,
at this
cool. I
point.
grab my drag him away.
You reach a hand outward, and as he does, he puts a hand up, and his other hand shoots into the ground, and you hear a "yeah."
Cal's gonna walk up to this guy.
You can take this attack. You can take this attack, but you turn back and look, and there is grass and leaves wrapping around one of the wolves that you left behind, and it cocks its head to the side.
I look at all the furbolgs and I'm like,
Can y'all? We are many. We hide amongst you.
I don't care about the many right now. I care about that you're holding that hulking woman's wolf over there. I'm caring about you right now.
Take a step back. Take a step back.
Let it be.
What is it you wish of me?
You have 5 seconds before I have arrows and
No.
axes
No.
and magic.
No.
Let me handle
we
it.
No.
can't let it stay here.
We want help
From who?
from everyone.
Bring them all!
No, that's not what I said. Why can't we all work in tandem?
We've tried that once before.
When? With us?
No.
Once before when?
He is pissed at this point and reaches a hand outward, and you see these claws start growing on his hand, and then they're immediately taken back into his hand. Like there's some sort of thing right here, and you hear Fortunato say the word sleep, and this thing hits the ground.
Everybody, we need to get him captured, get him tied up, get him something.
Rovar walks over, and without missing a beat, Rovar begins to cast. We let him go?
What are you casting?
Rovar picks this thing up by the scruff of its neck while it's
want
asleep.
To keep him.
You want him
We
alive.
can find out information on how to beat this
There's
thing.
nothing we can get from
The
this.
second we kill
What if
it,
we can
that thing's
try?
going to attack all of us.
The entirety of the camp comes around Rovar, and they sort of look to him, and he looks back at them, and he looks at you, and he slams this thing up against a tree, and as he holds it there, vines wrap around it, wrapping around the neck, the body, the hands, immobilizing the hands from being able to do anything, and then you hear a voice that say, "We've taught it our spells. We've taught it our connection. How do we prevent it from?" And Rovar takes an axe from a friend, and you bring it up, and you get this look of like, no, don't. And he just goes, "Sunk, sunk," and you watch as the two hands of the like fall to the ground, preventing it from casting. And he picks up one of the hands, and he picks up the other, and he just tosses them in the fire.
That's good job. Smart.
So, we wait for it to wake up, and we talk, and we get our forest back. Yes?
Yes.
Agreed.
That's where we're going to end tonight's episode. Thank you so much for tuning in, gang. Stay tuned. The arc of the Saving the Forest of Neverland has begun. Thank you so much. We're going to go raid another channel real quick, so stay tuned with us. But we love you guys. We'll see you next week. Indigo Connect, and hey, are we ever gonna get Fortunato back?
Never! No.
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. We'll probably get him back. We'll see you guys soon.
Why are you like this?